Hi, my dear students. Today we are going to begin a new unit which is called Town and Country Unit 3. Let's start lesson 1. We have here some new vocabulary. For example, clerk, treasurer, immigrants, founded, story, abandoned, in ruins, junk, rusting, thriving, industrialized, inhabitant. Let's read together. Minowi population 1. Elsie Elliott is the mayor of Minowi, a tiny town in northern Nebraska, USA. But that isn't her only job. يعني كان في واحدة اسمها إلسي إلير، دي كانت العمدة بتاعت بلدة اسمها منوي، زي بلدة صغيرة كده موجودة في شمال نبراسكا USA، لكن دي ما كانتش الوظيفة الوحيدة بتاعتها. She is also the town clerk, the town treasurer, the librarian, and she works in the cafe. يعني كانت هي الموظف في المدينة، كانت هي أمين الصندوق أو وزير المالية، كانت هي أمين المكتبة، وكمان بتشتغل في الكافيه بتاع البلدة. Why has she got a lot of different jobs? Because there is nobody else to do them. ليه هي بتشتغل كل الوظائف دي المختلفة؟ عشان مفيش حد تاني موجود غيرها هو اللي بيعمل كل الوظائف دي. Minowi has got a population of 1. Elsie. البلدة اللي اسمها منوي دي ما عندهاش تعداد سكان نهائي غير واحدة بس اسمها إلسي. Immigrants from Europe originally founded the town in 1902. يعني المهاجرين من أوروبا هم اللي أساسا أسسوا البلدة دي. But today nobody wants to live there. دلوقتي مفيش حد عايز يعيش في المكان ده، البلدة اللي اسمها منوي. There are about 12 empty one-story wooden houses. حوالي دلوقتي هناك في 12 من البيوت الخشبية ذات الطابق الواحد فاضيين. In one house there's still an abandoned piano. في واحد من البيوت في زي بيانو متروك أو مهجور، حد سايبه. Most of the houses are in ruins and surrounded by a few trees, some old cars and lots of junk. يعني معظم البيوت اللي هناك عبارة مخربة في دمار ومحيطة ببعض الأشجار القليلة والعربيات العربيات المدمرة والقديمة وبعض المخلفات والقمامة والحاجات اللي ملهاش أي لازمة. جانك يعني حاجات ملهاش أي لازمة، ملهاش أي استعمال. The town is completely silent. البلدة يعني هادية جدا. An old rusting yellow school bus with no wheels or seats stands next to the small school. برضو في زي أتوبيس أصفر كده بتاع مدرسة مصدي مفهوش أي عجلات ولا مقاعد، موجود جانب مدرسة صغيرة. The school closed 40 years ago. المدرسة قفلت أساسا من 40 سنة. Opposite Ilse's cafe is an old building filled with rubbish. قدام الكافيه اللي بتعمل فيه إلسي في زي مبنى قديم مليان بالقمامة. It was a shop but it closed in the 1950s. يعني كان محل بس قفل أيام الخمسينيات في القرن ال19. Even the church has been closed since 1960. وبرضو الكنيسة قفلت منذ العام 1960. Minowi was a thriving town in the 1930s. يعني منوي دي كانت بلدة ناجحة جدا أيام الثلاثينيات في القرن ال19. Then the population was 150, mostly farmers and their families. يعني كان تعداد السكان حوالي 150 ومعظمهم المزارعين وعائلاتهم. There was a railway too. كان في زي سكة حديد كمان. However, the farmers couldn't compete with the enormous industrialized farms. على الرغم من كده المزارعين ما قدروش يتنافسوا مع المزارع اللي بتعمل يا ولاد بتقنية الصناعة أو فيها آلات ومعدات كتيرة. They left the town to look for other work. سابوا المدينة البلدة دي عشان يدوروا على عمل آخر. In 1971 the railway closed and the town began to die. المدينة بدأت بقى تموت، ما فيهاش سكان. من أول 1971 ما فيش أي حد موجود. 3 years ago the last inhabitants apart from Elsie and her husband moved away. من 3 سنين فاتوا آخر ساكن في المدينة دي بعيدا عن إلسي وزوجها انتقل. Then Elsie's husband died and Elsie became the town's only inhabitant. يعني زوج إلسي دي ماتت وهي الوحيدة اللي بقت الساكنة أو القاطنة في البلدة دي. Ilse's son and daughter migrated years ago to find work in bigger towns. يعني أولاد الست اللي اسمها إلسي ابنها وبنتها هاجروا من سنين فاتوا عشان يلاقوا شغل في مدن أكبر شوية. The small farmers and businessmen can't make any money here, says Elsie. يعني بتقول مزارعين اللي هم صغيرين والرجال الأعمال مقدروش يكسبوا مال في البلدة اللي اسمها منوي. It is the same in other small towns in the region. ونفس الكلام في البلدات الأخرى الصغيرة في المنطقة. Between 1996 and 2004, almost 500,000 people left the rural states of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa and went to live in big cities. يعني حوالي 500 ألف من تعداد السكان سابوا الولايات الريفية أو القروية اللي هي نبراسكا وكانساس وأوكلاهوما ونورث داكوتا وساوث داكوتا وأيوا وراحوا يعيشوا في المدن الكبيرة. Now Elsie lives alone but she isn't lonely. هي عايشة وحديها لكن مش وحيدة. Her food is good and farmers and truck drivers travel a long way to eat at her cafe. يعني ليها أكل كويس جدا. تلاقي المزارعين وسائقين الشاحنات بيجولها ويسافروا من أماكن بعيدة ويجوا ياكلوا في الكافيه بتاعها. And the town is often visited by wild animals such as deer. برضو البلدة دي بيبقى فيها زي حيوانات برية زي الغزال. One day Minowi will just be memories. في يوم من الأيام البلدة دي هتكون عبارة عن ذكريات and it will probably turn to dust. هتتحول لغبار مش هتكون موجودة. She says, but I like it here and as long as I can take care of myself I will stay here. إلس بتقول إن هي بتحب المكان ده جدا وطول ما هي قادرة تعتني بنفسها في المكان ده هي تبقى هناك ومش هتهاجر أو تسيب المكان دوت وتقعد هناك فيه. Let's answer some exercises together. Number 1, match the highlighted words in the text with the definitions. Number 1, connected with the countryside means ruler. Number 2, people who come to live in a country from another country. الناس اللي تنتقل من دولة لأخرى means immigrants. Number 3, a person who lives in a place means inhabitant, الشخص الساكن أو القاطن في المكان. Number 4, someone who works with documents in an office or bank, etc. means clerk. Number 5, growing or developing successfully means thriving, يعني حاجة ناجحة. Number 6, a floor or level of a building يعني طابق, story. Number 7, something that has been left and not used anymore, abandoned, يعني حاجة مهجورة, متروكة. Number 8, having a lot of machines or factories, industrialized. Number 9, being damaged by a red substance that forms on metal, rusting, يعني مصدي. Number 10, tiny pieces of a substance, يعني أجزاء صغيرة من الشيء أو المادة means dust, غبار. Number 11, started building and living in a town, founded, أسس. Number 12, badly damaged or destroyed in ruins, في خراب أو في دمار. Number 13, someone who is in charge of an organization's money means treasurer, اللي هو أمين الصندوق أو مدير الشؤون المالية في البلدة. Number 14, all things that don't have much value, junk, يعني مخلفات, حاجات قمامة ملهاش أي قيمة. Number 15, went to another place usually to find a job means migrated, يعني بيهاجر من مكان لمكان في نفس الدولة عشان بس يلاقي ايه شغلانة شغل يعني. Complete these sentences with the correct form of the words from the box. Number 1. The house is abandoned as nobody has lived there for years. The rooms are full of old junk and they are very dirty. In fact, the building is in ruins and it's dangerous to go into the house. Number 2. I want to look at the car yesterday. It was really old and rusting. يعني رحت أشوف عربية امبارح وكانت قديمة ومصدية. There were holes in the metal. The inside was worse. جواها كان أوحش بقى أكتر. It was full of dirt and dust. I don't think anyone will buy it. Number 3. My parents moved here 20 years ago when the town was thriving and doing well. يعني عائلتي انتقلت هنا من 20 سنة لما كانت المدينة كانت ناجحة وكويسة. It became industrialized very quickly and there were lots of new factories and jobs. My dad founded the family business in 1975 and today we have 5 factories in 3 different countries. Number 4, when I first came to the town hall, I worked as a clerk in the office. I looked after all the documents and paperwork. Now I have got a more important job. I am the treasurer and I control all the money that the city spends. أنا أمين الصندوق بتحكم في كل الفلوس اللي بتصرفها المدينة. I have got a big office on the 5th story with a great view of the city center. Number 5. A lot of people from the countryside had to migrate to safer places because of the war. Most of them went abroad. Now there were immigrants in a new country. They were farmers, so they went to live in a small rural villages. The old inhabitants were happy to see young people working in their villages again. Match the words to complete the sentences. Number 1, an immigrant goes with letter C, comes into a country from abroad to live and work there. يعني شخص مهاجر بينتقل من دولة لدولة، بيجي من الخارج عشان يعيش ويشتغل. Number 2, a commuter goes with letter G, means travels to and from work every day. شخص بيسافر كل يوم للعمل، يروح ويجي العمل يوميا عن طريق السفر. Number 3, a nomad goes with letter F, moves with their family and animals from place to place. الرحالة أو الشخص البدوي اللي بينتقل هو وعيلته وحيواناته من مكان لمكان. Number 4, a refugee goes with letter A, leaves their country because of a war or natural disaster. يعني اللاجئ اللي بينتقل لبلد أخرى بسبب أو بيسيب دولته بسبب الحرب أو الكوارث الطبيعية. Number 5, a pilgrim اللي هو الحاج goes with letter B, travels a long way to visit a religious place. الشخص اللي بيحج اللي بيزور الأماكن المقدسة، يروح يسافر أماكن بعيدة عشان يزور الأماكن المقدسة دي. Number 6, an immigrant goes with letter E, leaves their country to go and live and work in another. بينتقل من بلدة لأخرى في نفس الدولة عشان يعيش ويشتغل. Number 7, a globetrotter goes with letter D, means travels a lot and visits a lot of countries. شخص مسافر كثيرا، بيسافر ويزور أماكن كتيرة وبلاد كتيرة. ممكن نقول عليه شخص كثير الأسفار. Do and make. Put the words in the box in the correct columns. We have here some words that go with the verb do and some verbs that go with the verb make. For example, I can say do badly يعني بيأدي بشكل سيء. Do harm يعني يؤذي. Do a job يقوم بمهمة. Do math بيدرس الرياضيات. Do well means يبلي بلاء حسنا. I can say make money means يكسب المال. Make a living يعني يكسب معيشته، يكسب قوته. Make a mistake يرتكب خطأ. Make a bad impression يعطي انطباع سيء. Make an appointment means يحدد موعد. Complete the text with the words in the box and answer the questions. I live in the second biggest urban area, يعني منطقة مدنية, in my country. The city is on the Mediterranean coast and it has an important port which has two harbors. Harbor هو الميناء. The city has a population of over 4 million inhabitants and it is a cosmopolitan city. Cosmopolitan means عالمي غير محلي, with people from all over the world living here. Although there are a lot of factories in the industrialized suburbs, ضواحي outside the city center, my city is also popular tourist resort, منتجع سياحي مشهور because of its beautiful beaches. I live in a neighborhood in the city, منطقة مجاورة في المدينة center, which there are a lot of blocks of flats. هناك في عمارات سكنية كتيرة. Small local shops يعني محلات محلية and businesses. Do you know the name of my city? It's Alexandria. Homophones. Homophones are words that have the same pronunciation but have different spelling and meaning. يعني عبارة عن كلمات ليها نفس النطق لكن الهجاية والمعنى مختلف. Complete the sentences with homophones of the words in italics. نكمل الكلمات المكتوبة italics، هي كلمات مكتوبة بطريقة مايلة شوية. Number 1. Letter A. We live in a 5-story block of flats. Story معناها طابق أو دور. Letter B. He told me a really good story about his family. قال لي قصة حلوة عن عائلته. Number 2. Letter A. My grandfather died 10 years ago. Died معناها توفى أو مات. Letter B. My mom has dyed her hair a different color. يعني صبغت شعرها. Number 3. Letter A. We saw a beautiful deer at the park. شفنا غزال شكله جميل في البارك. Letter B. Dear John, I am writing this letter to ask you. يعني يا عزيزي جون. Number 4. He didn't say anything. He just sighed. يعني ما قالش حاجة، هو فقط تنهد. Letter B. Look, there is an on the other side of the road. أما موجودة على الناحية الأخرى من الطريق. Number 5. Letter A. What a beautiful blue sky. يعني blue أزرق. Letter B. The wind blew away the children's balloons. يعني الرياح هبت أو طيرت بعيد البالونات بتاعت الأطفال. Number 6. Let's have a short coffee break. تعالوا ناخد بريك قصير يعني راحة نشرب فيها قهوة. Letter B. I have put a new front brake on my bicycle. حطيت فرامل جديدة في العجلة بتاعتي. Number 7. Letter A. You always groan when I ask you to help me. انت دايما بتتذمر وبتتأنى لما بسألك انت تساعدني، بطلب منك انت تساعدني. Letter B, you have grown a lot. How tall are you now? انت كبرت قوي. يعني قد ايه طولك دلوقتي؟ Number 8, letter A, James bought a new camera. جينز اشترت كاميرا جديدة. Letter B, I knew the answer but I couldn't remember it. أنا عارف الإجابة، عرفت الإجابة لكن مش قادر أتذكرها. Quantifiers with some, any, much, many, a lot of, a little, a few. Let's read the passage together. Number 1. Sunshine City is a great city. There is so much to do. There are a lot of cinemas, cafes, and few parks and playgrounds. It has got some great clothes and shoe shops too. Number 2. Sunshine City is very modern and beautiful. There aren't any ugly buildings and there is some beautiful scenery around the city. Number 3. Is there any pollution in Sunshine City? There isn't much pollution because there isn't any traffic. Everyone travels by bike or walks, so there aren't many accidents. Number 4. No one works, so everyone has got a lot of free time. Are there any unfriendly people in Sunshine City? No, so come and spend a little time here. Learn this. Number 1. We use some in affirmative sentences في الجمل المثبتة. Number 2. We use any in negative sentences and questions like yes or no questions. نستخدم any في الجمل المنفية وال yes or no questions. Okay, let's answer this exercise together. Number 3. Find a little, a few, many, much, and a lot of in the text in exercise 1. Complete the table. One quantifier can be used with both countable and uncountable nouns. For example, we can use with uncountable nouns much, a lot of, a little. With plural countable nouns, we can use a lot of, many, a few. Okay, let's explain these grammatical rules. We often use much and many in negative sentences and questions. For example, has he got much money? He hasn't got much money. Do you read many books? I don't read many books. يعني ممكن نستخدم much many في الجمل المنفية أو في yes or no questions. We don't often use them in affirmative sentences. ساعات مش بنستخدمهم في جمل مثبتة. We use a lot of or lots of in both affirmative and negative sentences. بنستخدم a lot of lots of في الجمل المثبتة والمنفية. For example, we don't know a lot of people. I have a lot of apples. We use a few with countable nouns. For example, our region has a few numbers of inhabitants. We use a little with uncountable nouns. For example, she usually puts a little sugar in her tea. We use some with countable or uncountable nouns. I have some work to do. We use any with countable or uncountable nouns. And we use any in negative sentences and questions. For example, have you got any time to help me? I haven't got any time to help anyone. Let's answer some exercises. For example, number 1. Martin is visiting his cousin Ben. Complete the dialogue with some or any, then listen and check. Ben, let's go to the cinema. There are some good films on this week. Martin, I prefer being outside. Let's go mountain biking. Are there any hills near here? Ben, no, there aren't. Martin, oh, maybe we could go for a walk in the countryside. Ben, there isn't any countryside near here, but there are some interesting parts of town. Martin, great, let's go and look at some traffic lights. Ben, don't be silly. There are some streets in the center where there isn't any traffic. You just hate cities. Number 2, choose the correct words in the text, then listen and check. I live in a small village in the south of Ireland. There are a lot of old houses in the village, but there aren't many modern buildings. There are a few farms around the village. Everybody has got a car, so there is a little pollution. But much less than in the city, there isn't much entertainment, but there is a lot beautiful scenery and it's very peaceful. I love living here. Here we have some rural landscapes يعني مناظر طبيعية قروية أو ريفية. For example we have hill, valley هو الوادي, wood, cottage كوخ صغير كده أو بيت صغير, field حقل, footpath ممر المشاة, gate بوابة, hedge سور أو سياج من الأشجار, stream تيار مياه, lane اللي هو طريق أو زقاق ضيق. Here we have some urban landscapes, for example advertisement الإعلان, road sign لافتات الطريق, bus stop محطة الأتوبيس, post box صندوق البريد, pedestrian crossing مكان عبور المشاة, pavement اللي هو الرصيف, traffic lights إشارات المرور, street lamp مصباح الطريق, road works أعمال إصلاح الطرق, rubbish bin سلة المهملات. Label the pictures with the prepositions in the box. Prepositions of movement: across, over, past, through, along. Number 1, across, past, through, along, over. Definite and zero article. We use a when we talk about something for the first time. We use the when we talk about something again. For example, there is a cafe near my house. I often go to the cafe at the weekend. يعني بنستخدم أو آن يا جماعة لما بنتكلم عامة عن حاجة لأول مرة بنذكرها، لكن لما بنذكرها لتاني مرة نفس الحاجة دي بنستخدم the. Number 2, we use a when we say what someone's job is. For example, she is a doctor. لما بنحكي على الوظائف بنستخدم أو آن. Or when we describe what somebody or something is. لما بنوصف شخص أو شيء. For example, he is a nice man. It's a lovely day. Number 3, we use the when there is only one of something. لما تكون في حاجة واحدة بس أو في حاجة واحدة بس من الشيء دوت بستخدم the. For example, the sun, the president, the cinema. Number 4, we use the zero article when we are making generalizations. يعني zero article يعني ما استخدمش بقى أي حاجة، ولا استخدم a ولا an ولا the، ما استخدمش أي حاجة. لما بحكي عامة على حاجة. For example, what is the weather like? I don't like hot weather. يعني في question number 1 بقول الطقس النهارده شكله ايه مثلا، لكن انا في الجمله الثانيه بحكي بقول انا عامه مش بحب الطقس الحار، بتكلم عامه عن الطقس الحار، فما احطش article نهائي. Number 2, the lanes near our cottage are very narrow. Don't drive fast in narrow lanes. انا في الاكزامبل نمبر 1 بحدد الطرق اللي هي موجوده جنب الكوخ بتاعنا ضيقه جدا، لكن في نمبر 2 انا بقول انا عامه ما ينفعش اسوق بسرعه في الطرق الضيقه، بتكلم على الطرق الضيقه عامه، فما احطش اي ارتكل. Let's answer this exercise together. Number 2, are the sentences generalizations or not? Choose the correct answers. Number 1, life in a small village can be very boring. Number 2, the weather in Scotland was terrible last weekend. Number 3, this crossing isn't for bicycles, it's for pedestrians. Number 4, I love Indian food. Number 5, the fields around the village are full of cows. Number 6, I hate advertisements, they are usually so boring. Choose the best answer, A or the or zero article. mytown.com chatroom. Jess, I live in a small village. It's near the sea. It's a really boring place. Amy, hi Jess. I love villages. They are so quaint. What is the name of your village? Jess, Thurlbury. It's in Scotland. Where do you live, Amy? Ashford. It's a small town in the south of England. Jess, is that an exciting place to be at weekends? Amy, it's okay here. There is a sports center and a cinema, but the cinemas only got one screen. Jess, cinema, we haven't even got a cafe. Complete the text using a and the or the zero article. I have a very responsible job. I am the mayor of Newton City. This is a great city. The people here are friendly. The weather is fantastic and we have very modern facilities. There are parks, an enormous shopping center, and a leisure center with a lake. So people love living here. However, there is a problem. The population of the city is relatively young, so we need to build more schools and a university, and to do that I need money. Complete the dialogue with the words from the box, then listen and check your answers. Angela, you are keen on the theater, aren't you, Sarah? Sarah, yes, I am. Why? Angela, because we are going to Stratford upon Avon on Saturday. Do you want to come? Sarah, you mean you are going to Shakespeare's hometown? Of course, I want to come. Angela, great, my mom and dad have got tickets for the theater in the evening. Sarah, what time are you setting off? Angela, at 10 o'clock in the morning. We want to see some of the historic buildings in the town. Sarah, good. We can't miss Anne Hathaway's cottage. Who was Anne Hathaway? Sarah, she was Shakespeare's wife. Her cottage is outside Stratford. They say it's really fascinating. Angela, I am sure my parents will want to see that. We are also going to wander along Henley Street. Sarah, yes. There are lots of ancient buildings in Henley Street and it's very atmospheric, just like in Shakespeare's time. Angela, well, it has probably changed a bit, but I am sure we will have a good time. Complete the sentences with the words in the box. Number 1. There are a lot of cars in the city center. Number 2. Are there any cafes in the street? Number 3. How many people were in the class today? Number 4. I only take a little milk in my coffee. That's enough. Number 5. We haven't got much food in the fridge. Number 6. We have got some apples. Do you want one? Number 7. I have only got a few computer games, just 2 or 3. Circle the adjective which is different in each group and say why it is different. For example, we have here number 1, enormous, huge, tiny, vast. Tiny means very small. The other adjectives mean very big. Number 2, celebrated, famous, infamous, well known. Infamous here means غير مشهور. The rest of the adjectives means مشهور أو معروف. Number 3, dreadful, magnificent, marvelous, wonderful. Dreadful means مروع أو مفزع. Magnificent, marvelous, wonderful means رائع أو جميل. Number 4, antiquated, contemporary, current, up to date. Antiquated means قديم, مهجور, متروك. The rest of the adjectives means معاصر أو حديث. Number 5, fascinating, monotonous, tedious, tiresome. Fascinating, مبهر. The rest of the adjectives means شيء ممل, مضجر. All the words in the box are synonyms of old. يعني كلهم معناهم old. Check the usage of the words and complete the sentences. For example, number 1, this antique furniture is from the 18th century, it's very expensive. No, my computer isn't new, it's second hand. I bought it from a friend. Number 3, these poems were written in the 16th century. The language is archaic and difficult to understand. Number 4, black and white TVs are obsolete. Nobody uses them today. Number 5, my grandparents are elderly now, but they still travel a lot. Urban or rural? For urban life we have pedestrian crossing, parking meter, square اللي هو الميدان, traffic jam زحمة المرور. For rural life we have barn حظيرة, crops محاصيل, irrigation الري, plow اللي هو المحراث.